Hi everyone. So in this video, we are going to be doing some sample programs using tuples. Okay, so let's get started. Our first program says, write a program to read elements into a tuple and to find unique elements in the tuple. Now, what do I mean by unique elements? Element which is not repeated once again. Okay, so let's first learn how to read elements from the user. I'm going to make use of the eval function, which I mentioned in the previous video. And I say eval input, enter the elements. Okay, so I'm putting a message to the user that enter the elements, and whatever the user enters, the user is supposed to be entering, the elements separated by a comma. The round bracket's not necessary, or could put a round bracket also. And I'm taking it into a variable called t. Now, how do I find unique elements? You know what I could do? I could traverse through each element of the tuple, pick that element, use the count function to see how many times that element appears. And if that element appears only once, it means it is unique. So which means I have to traverse through the tuple. How do I traverse through the tuple? For x in t, correct? You remember? This would help me traverse through the tuple. What will x get? X, as it loops through the for loop, it will pick one element at a time from the tuple. Now, what am I checking? Is this element repeating in the tuple? So let me say C is equal to, C is just a variable that is going to store the count. T dot count, T is the name of my tuple. And what am I checking? If this element means where is the element in X? So I am counting how many times X appears in T. And where is that count stored? In C. And I say if C equals 1, that means if this element appears only once, it means it's a unique element. I am going to be printing that element. So I say print X. And that's it. Okay, so let's just run the program. Like I told you, whenever we run the program, the first program, there's always a small delay. Okay, I say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, just randomly. Okay. And it's listed out 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, because in our list, if you see 1 is repeated, 2 is repeated, but 3, 4, 5, 6 are not repeated. Now, if you wanted to give some appropriate messages, the unique elements are, what you could do is just before the for loop, you could have said print, okay, the unique elements are, whatever your message that you could have put it here. Is that clear? So here currently I'm just getting the answer. There is no message. Message is for you to just display it there. Clear? Okay, let's move to the next question. The next question says, write a program to read salaries of n employees into a tuple and to find the minimum and the maximum salary. Now, how is this question slightly different from the other in terms of reading? There it just said, read elements into a tuple. It didn't talk about n elements. So you could read, the user could enter 3 elements, 4 elements, 10 elements, whatever elements. Here it's saying n elements. So if n is 5, the user should be entering only 5 elements. So what can I do here? First of all, I will ask the value of n. So I say n input, int input, enter the value of n. Okay, so you're entering the value of n, and that's there. Now I'm looping through the program. So I write for x in range. If I want to do something n times, what do? We write for x in range n. So which means my loop is going to be, my for loop is going to be executed n times. And x is just a variable used to help you with the looping. Okay, and okay, so I loop n times. And how many times should I get the salary from the user? N times, right? So salary I'm taking into a variable called sal. Sal is equal to, let's say, float in bracket input, ask the user, so enter the salary. So if there are 5 what do you say, employees, enter the value of n stands for enter the number of employees. Okay, if there are 5 employees, how many times will it ask me enter the salary? 5 times. And what am I doing to this salary? I'm transferring it to a tuple. So before that, let me just create an empty tuple. We had learned how do I create an empty tuple? I just call the name of the tuple as salary and you put empty parenthesis. Okay. So once I read the salary, look at the line that I write. Salary is equal to salary plus is for concatenation, you remember, and the sal that you want to enter. And remember, I told you in the first video that even if you're entering only one value, you must put that value followed by a comma. Okay, so I do that. So my salary tuple gets filled up with n salaries. Okay, now what do I, now it's easy. I just need to make use of the function. What do I want to find? I want to find the maximum and the minimum salary. So I have functions called max and min to find the maximum and minimum salary, right? So I directly use the print function and I say maximum salary. And where is maximum? How am I going to be getting maximum salary? By using the function called max. And what does the function require in bracket? The tuple's name. So what is my tuple's name? Salary. Similarly, I'm going to be repeating this for minimum salary. So instead of maximum, it's minimum salary. And instead of max function, what am I doing? The min function. So here only remember, I'm not using the eval function, because when you use the eval function for reading, the user could be entering any number of elements. Here we're restricting the number to n, because if I have only 5 employees, I must read only 5 salaries. Is that clear? So let's just run the program. It's asking me how many employees. Okay, so let me just say 5. So remember, 5 times it'll ask me salary. So 300, 200, 450, 120, and 460. Okay. Now, can you see it's telling me maximum is 460? Yes, among the list of listed values, 460 is maximum and 120 is minimum. Is that clear? So purposely, I took this question to show you another way of reading it into a tuple, making use of the concatenation operator. Okay. Now, write a program to read n elements into a tuple. So again, n elements. So can I just make a copy of this? Slightly we can use it there with some modification. So I have to read n elements. So obviously I'll have to ask the user what's the value of n. Maybe I don't want to call, it's just saying elements. No, so let me call the, what you say, the tuple as numbers. Okay. And I'm using the loop and I'm asking the user to enter the number. So instead of saying enter the salary, I will just say enter a number. Okay. And what am I going to do? I'm going to be storing that number into a tuple. How do we do that? We just learned in the previous example. NOS is equal to, because NOS is the name of my tuple, NOS plus and a single variable to be entered. So you have n comma. So remember, with this, what happens is you have created a tuple named as NOS. Now the second part says you'll have to separate positive and negative elements into separate tuples. Okay, so let me create another what you say, empty tuple called pause and for positive elements and neg for negative elements. Now what do? I scan through or traverse through each and every element of NOS. So for X in NOS. So here, what does X get? Each and every element of NOS. What am I checking? Whether it's positive or negative. So if X greater than 0, or I could say equal to, okay, let's take that also as that, greater than or equal to 0, it's positive, right? So into the positive list, I am adding into the positive, sorry, I don't need the parenthesis, positive is equal to positive plus I am adding the value of X. Correct? That's if it's positive. If it's negative, that means else. If it's not greater than or equal to 0, it definitely means it is negative. What do I want to do? Into the negative tuple, that is NEG, I am saying NEG plus, I'm making use of the concatenation. And where is that element stored currently in the loop? In X, so I write X, comma. Is that clear? Okay, and finally, I've done with my work. Now I just want to print the positive what you say, tuple, and I want to print the negative tuple. Children, it's up to you to give appropriate messages. I am just saying print pause and neg. Okay, so let's just run the program. It's asking me how many values are you planning to enter? Let's say 5. First number, enter 100. Second, minus 20. Third, 30. Fourth, minus 12. fifth minus 16, I mean 17. So I have few positives and few negatives. Now first it's showing me print POS. So the positive numbers that I entered were 100 and 30. And what were the negative numbers you entered? Minus 20, minus 12, and minus 17. Clear? Okay, let's go to another question. It says, write a program to read elements into two tuples. Okay, so you're supposed to be reading elements into two tuples. Now, because they didn't talk about n, n elements, we can make use of the eval method. Okay, so let me just go to my first program and just copy the first line so it becomes easy. Okay, so I got the first tuple. So let me call it T1. I got some elements into T1. I need to read some more elements into T2. So what do? I read some more elements into T2. So I have T1 and T2. Now what do you have to do? Let's read. You're supposed to be creating the third tuple, which has the first three elements of tuple 1, followed by the last three elements of tuple 2. Okay, so we can make use of the concept of slicing here. I can get the first three elements with slicing. I can get the last three elements also with slicing. But before that, let me just, do some annotations for you. Let's assume the numbers were 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay. Let's say this is the second one. Okay. And then the first one is 2, 4, 6, 8, let's say 10. Okay, let me just use another color for the index. So this is at 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is also at 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now what can I do? I need the first three elements of the first tuple. That's very easy. I'm creating a new tuple called T. How do I get the first three elements of this? Can I say T1? Don't put the beginning, or you can even put the beginning. Doesn't matter. 0, 3. What does 0, 3 give you? All the elements at index number 0, 1, and 2. Does that make my first three elements? Yes. Okay. Plus. Okay. T2. I want the last three elements. Okay, now just pay attention. What is the size of this second list? How many elements are there? 5. Okay, 5 minus 3 is 2. Don't I want from 2 onwards? So that is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the length of T2, which gave me 5. From there, I say minus 3 because I want the last 3. So from there, so when you say T2 minus 3, length of T2 minus 3, length was 5. 5 minus 3 is going to be 2. So where am I starting? At index location 2. Correct. Where do I want to end? At the last index location. And the last index location, if you remember, is less than length of T2 because T2 is going to give you 5 and length of T2 means, does it go till 5? No, it goes 1 before 5, which is 4. Okay, and that is it. So, and finally, I print T. So I hope you have understood this length of T2 minus. Let's see it once again. Number of elements in the second one. Number of elements in the second one was 5, correct? Okay, 5 elements were there in the second one. I said 5 minus 3 because I want the last 3. 5 minus 3 is going to be 2. That means from index number 2, I pick up 3, I pick up, and I go up till length. Length is 5, so I'll not go up till 5. I will say 4. Now you might wonder, will it work if there were many more elements? Okay, let's put some elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so index number is what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many elements are here? 7. 7 minus 3 is what? 4. So index number 4, 5, and 6. Am I not getting the last 3 elements? Okay. So let's just run the program. Okay. And just enter some elements. So I have, this is the elements of T1. Okay. I could have given a message, enter the elements of T1, but okay, now you understood. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Let's say the elements of T2 are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, they need not be equisized. Okay, can you see it got the first three elements of T1 and the last three elements of T2? So clear. So here in this program, we didn't make use of any function as such, but we made use of the slicing operator. Clear? Okay, so let's just clear my annotations and take you to my next program and the last program for this video. It says, write a program to read n pairs of values. Again, n concepts. So let me just pick the n line from here. Okay, so I have to read value of n, but it's now says n pairs of values. Okay, so that means basically we are creating a nested tuple. Now what do you mean by a nested tuple? Something like this, say 1 comma 2, another pair is, let's say, 2 comma 4, another pair is, let's say, 3 comma 5, whatever. Okay, now this is, so how many pairs have I read? 3 pairs, correct? So they're asking me to read n pairs. Okay, I will read n pairs from the user. And how do I read pairs? Remember, you're reading a tuple itself, right? So how many pairs do I need to read? N pairs. So I'm using a loop which is going to be executed n times by writing range n. And I'm going to read a tuple, not one element. I'm going to read 1 and 2, right? So I can read it as, let's say, T is equal to eval in bracket input, and I'll put a proper message here saying enter a pair. Okay, so I'm assuming that he understands what a pair is, and he'll be entering only a pair of element. And where is that stored currently? In T. But this whole thing, let's say, where do I want to store? In, let's say, a variable called Z. Okay, so Z is an empty tuple. T gets the individual pair, and that individual pair I'm going to add to Z. So I'm going to write Z is equal to Z plus and the tuple T. Okay, so Z is equal to Z plus T. Okay. After that, it'll keep adding, keep adding, keep adding. What did you, so all the pairs are going to be added to Z, correct? Now it says, display the tuple where both the values are even. Okay, now I want to show you some indexing concept here. Okay, what color do I use? Maybe this. Okay, this is at index number 0. This is at index number 1. This is at index number 2. So the outside indexing for the outer tuple is 0, 1, 2. But this also has a smaller indexing. This is 0 and 1. This is 0 and 1, because each tuple starts with a 0 and a 1. So if I want to access 1, I need to first come to location 0 to get to the main one, and from 0 enter into a 0. Okay, so now just pay attention to what I plan to do here. I will access through each and every element of the outer tuple. So when I say for x in Z, okay, what does it mean? Now, what will x get? Will x get 1? No. X in Z means x will take one element at a time of Z. Now, Z is a nested tuple. So what does x get? It gets the tuple 1, comma 2. So x is a tuple now, which consists of 1, comma 2. Where is 1? At 0 at the location. Where is 2? At 1 location. They want to check if both these elements are, what do you mean, even. So now Z, remember, is at, so Z is not the big tuple. The big tuple had outer indexing and inner indexing. What is Z getting? The inner tuple. So Z has only got 1, comma 2. I want to check if those 1 and 2 are even. So, sorry, X has only got 1 and 2. Z is the bigger tuple. So I write if X of 0, that's referring to the first element of the inner tuple, is modulus of 2. Okay, that's how we can check for even, right? Modulus of 2 equals 0, and x of 1, that is the second element in the inner tuple, if its modulus of 2 equals 0, that means if both the elements are even, what do I want to do? I want to print that pair, right? So I just write print x, because x is that pair. So remember, Z is the bigger tuple. The bigger tuple consists of small inner tuples. And what is x doing in this loop? It is going through one element at a time. That means one pair at a time, and checking if in the pair the 0th element and the first element, are they even. If it's even, it's going to print it. Okay, so let's just run the program. Okay, it's asking me how many such elements. Since I've shown you on the screen only 3, I say 3. Now enter the pair. So the first pair I'm entering is 1, comma 2. The next pair I'm entering is 2, comma 4. The next pair I'm entering is 3, comma 5. Now it should only show me 2, comma 4 as the output. Okay, int object is not subscriptable. Okay, because I forgot to do this. Okay, so let's just run the program. Value of n is 3. Pair is 1, comma 2. The next pair is 2, comma 4. The next pair is 3, comma 5. And it has given me the answer as 2, comma 4. Now remember one thing, I had written it as T. When you write it as T, it's going to not take it. Remember when there is only one element, also we said we are going to be putting it as that first element with a comma. So though T is a pair, but for the outer tuple, it's only one element. So I put that element and put a comma, which I had missed out in the previous example. I mean, when I was running the program previously. Is that clear? Okay. So we're not going to be having any kind of, more practice questions or anything like that. Reason being, remember all programs that you have done using list, okay, where it did not modify the list can be done using a tuple. Clear? So I hope things are clear and you have understood tuples where. Okay. Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.